Okay, a bit of turntable information. This is the turntable area, and one of the issues we had was we wanted to figure out how to get the turntable here fixed in, but in a manner that we could remove it in the future if we wanted to. And what ended up happening is one of our members came up with a solution where, you can kind of see that, he cut a plate. I don't even know what this is, it's heavy, so I don't know if it's plate aluminum. It's about 1/4 inch thick, it's round, it fits into the bottom, there's a channel out here, there's a screw that's super glued in the bottom, and then all we did in here is put in strips of double-sided tape, and in the hole where it goes in, there's some little foamy bits, which are pieces of door insulation, which will hold this up a bit, so the whole thing kind of compresses down. And when we want to put it in, now once we do, it's going to be semi-permanent, but you can see it rests pretty good in there. We have a metal disc here which goes underneath, and then this large washer goes under that, and then the bolt comes through with a lock washer and a nut. In case you're wondering, this base is made up of cork on the very bottom. So the table itself is pink foam. On top of the pink foam, I've cut out cork, and I cut the cork to the right shape so that I can fit in the roundhouse as well as the turntable. This cork I get from Staples, and it comes in 1 foot by 1 foot sheets. Just cut it out, glued it down with some foam tack glue, let it dry, did some final shaping on it. Once everything was finally shaped and glued in place, I went and got spackling. And this is a light spackling compound. What I did was I took out a hunk of the white spackling compound, put it into a mixing bowl, added some gray paint to it, a little bit of black, mixed it all up to the color that I kind of wanted, which was the right light gray originally, and then spread it on, troweled it out to get it as smooth as I could, let it dry for I think 48 hours, and then took a drywall sanding hand sander. So it's 6 inches wide by 12 inches long with some, I don't know, it was 80 or 120 grit sandpaper, sanded it all smooth, vacuumed it off, and then I just painted over top of that, and you see the dry brushing that's going on over top of that. I didn't use any sealant on it or anything after that, and it seems to have stayed up quite well so far. This can be removed at any time, although we're going to have all these tracks attached and glued down, which means to move them we'll have to remove the little rail joiners. But if we decide at some point we don't want this and have it all go away, we can easily remove this without having to dig up a bunch of foam and stuff. And what's coming up next is, I don't like the way this is weathered, so I'm going to weather this stuff in here and make that a little bit better than that. And once we do that, should be able to put this in permanent, cut the track, glue it all down except for where the roundhouse goes, because the roundhouse has to be weathered still. So I tried to do some weathering on the turntable concrete. We'll take this off its stand and get in a little closer so you can see. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and put a wash on to try and start to do some different colorations in it. And I've got a couple of washes on there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush with some of this neutral gray. I think that'll be light enough. And I may do a little bit of black as well, we'll see. But I'm going to try some different things. I find this is a little too gray from what it was before. The before picture I have over here. We'll move this camera out of the way. We'll go back over here. This is the before picture. This is what it was like before, and I found this way too light. So you can see the difference. It's dark there and not nearly as dark there. I don't know if I can get back far enough to there you can kind of see both from there. And so I want to get this back to a bit of a lighter. Okay, so here's a small brush. Here's a little bit of paint. We'll gush out a little bit there. We'll daub it on the brush. And then leave just a little on. And do that. This is one of those things where, interesting, after a while you have to just stop. Because there's no real improvement, there's just different. I'm just trying to get some areas I may not have gotten before. And maybe get a little bit more color differentiation in a few. There, let's see what that looks like now. Of course, it's still kind of still wet, but because we're dry brushing, it shouldn't be changing a lot. It's still pretty dark, but you can see it's got splotchiness to it, and it's got different colors in different spots, like it's kind of worn, which is certainly different than, I mean, this is also, but it's quite light. The idea was it's supposed to be kind of concretey but worn. Yeah, we'll let that one go for a while and see what it looks like. But and here's the weathered result. It's pretty dark, but it's got a lot of character in it, I think. And it needs the roundhouse in here, and then all the track's going to be on it. I think once all the track goes on it, it'll look quite good. It shows up actually quite nice on the camera. There's some brown back in there, there's some rust colors, there's a lot of different colors that are actually in there, so I won't really know until I get track on there and do a little bit of ballast on it, and then we'll see what it looks like. But I think it's a lot better like that than it was like that. Alright, what I want to do now is to install this turntable. What we've said before is the way we set this up, I'll show you on the bottom here, is we use double-sided tape in here to adhere the turntable to this metal plate. Hole drilled down in the bottom here. Big washer, little washer, lock washer, nut. And what we want to do is have it semi-removable. What I mean by that is once I put it in, I'm going to leave it here and it's going to stay all the time, but if we ever have to rip this thing apart, we can then undo all of this stuff to do that, or if we have some kind of problem with it. So you can see it just kind of fits. Right now it rides a little high because it's on these foam, but these open cell foam pieces will compress pretty good. And what I need to do now is get this lined up. To do that, the roundhouse is installed and it fits snugly into its place. And what I do is I take a piece of track, long piece, insert it all the way back into the roundhouse here, down, and then line it up with the middle track here, like that. Once that's tucked in there, that's lined up. And you can see it comes straight through along here, and it'll bend a little bit there. But so that's now lined up the way I need it to be. And when I look at all the other tracks going out, I can see this guy might be off a little from where I want it, but generally it all okay. When I look at the other roundhouse tracks, I put this one in as an example. You can see it's going to have to curve just a little bit to meet up there. And on the other side, similarly, put this one in. It's going to have to curve out a bit to meet. So there's going to be a bit of a curve in there. That's because this is an Atlas roundhouse and this is a Fleischmann turntable. So they're completely different manufacturers, and the radius doesn't match up on it. C'est la vie. Not much I can do about it other than, as I've already done, to make it fit. Okay, piece of cloth here and use that to maybe get a little more grip. Well, that's firm. Yep, firm all the way around. So I don't see an issue, and we know the center track goes fine. Just going to move this around manually to that track. Make sure that we can come out there. That'll come in there like that. Yep, so that's fine. And move this back to this one. Track back in here. Oh yeah, that's fits fine. And then for areas like this guy will just come off along there okay. This guy here, he'll come off like that okay. And now if we start looking at all the other pieces of track, these guys will come off here just fine. That's off of there. That one's off of there. This guy needs to bend a bit, but he's okay. This one directs back to here, and then this one goes to here, and once that happens, that'll go there. So now this is in place and it's not moving, which means this building can now be removed for detailing work on it. Then I can lay the track for here. It is time to start laying some track on here now, and yeah, nothing's actually laid. The first piece I've cut to fit is a piece along here, and with that, so with this you can see I've drilled a hole here and a hole here. And what I plan to do is solder to the bottom of the track. The track's going to go in here. I'm going to glue it down. And these here feeds underneath, I'm going to leave there in case I need it. I don't know whether I will or not, because this whole turntable is powered, and when it connects up to one of these tracks, it powers that particular track. So as long as that connection works well, I won't have to do anything else. But just in case it doesn't, these will already have drops, so I can put whatever kind of control I want in on those drops and put a bus in.